If you want to grow your business, you absolutely have to understand the concept of scale. In this video, I'm going to explain just that. I'm going to illuminate the term at its mathematical level so you could grasp it at its root. If that sounds good to you, let's get into it. Put simply, scale is the ability to increase output and value delivered without increasing input. And if you watched my other video on leverage, you're going to see some similarities here. So in its simplest form, scaling means raising the amount of value that you create per unit of time. I know this sounds abstract. I'm going to get deeper into it in just a moment. Just bear with me here. And lastly, I'll say every great entrepreneur, creator, founder, whatever you want to call them, is essentially just trying to expand that ratio. They want to produce more value or deliver more results per unit of time or in less time. So there are three core dimensions of scale that I'm going to be covering in this video. The first dimension is lead generation. This is simply how your business attracts attention and generates demand for the products and services that you happen to provide. The next dimension is product delivery. And as you might imagine, this is how your business delivers on the products and services that you provide within your company. And lastly, we have the sales process. This is how we convert demand into cold hard cash or revenue. So for lead generation, we want to build systems that generate demand independent of our time. For product delivery, we want to deliver value without actually having to be there. And lastly, for the sales process, we want to convert customers or get people to pay us without actually driving the interaction. And that's what I'm going to be covering in this video. So when we talk about scale, we are talking about a relationship between inputs and outputs over time. And so you could just look at this scale factor equation just to get an idea of what this looks like formulaically. So it's going to be output growth divided by input growth. That's the basic formula. And if your output doubles when you double your time, that's what we call linear growth, right? You're scaling linearly. It's a one for one. One input yields one output. But if your output grows 10x while your input remains constant, this is what we call nonlinear effort, meaning your output does not increase in proportion to your input. And these are the types of games that we want to play. You don't want to play games where your output is scaling linearly with your input. So let's make this concrete with an example. Let's say that you make 100 cold calls, and this costs you 5 hours of work. This is what we would call linear effort. It's linear because when you stop calling, i.e., when you stop putting in inputs, the output stops. So when you stop calling people, there's no chance of you actually getting more sales, right? Because you are the core mechanism of that system. You are the doer. So you only earn as long as you're doing. I don't know about you, but I want to earn when I'm not doing. So that's why we create assets. So assets require a fixed upfront cost, and then they generate output for you that pays back that upfront cost many, many times over, right? So think about you post one YouTube video, and this YouTube video was created to generate leads for you. You create that video and it costs you that fixed upfront cost. And when I say fixed upfront cost, I mean just that. So one YouTube video for me is going to take me about, call it 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the length of the video. So 15 to 20 minutes, that's my upfront cost, but it's capped at that. After I post it, let's look at the output or the useful life of this asset. This video can be played and replayed an infinite number of times, and it will exist on YouTube forever. So do you see the asymmetry there? 15 to 20 minutes upfront cost, useful life of eternity, right? These are the games that we want to play. So I want to do the work once and then let the results compound over time. Now that you understand the overarching idea, let's make this practical. So in principle, you need a lead generation mechanism that scales irrespective of the time that you put in. So let's take a look at our cold call system here. And remember, systems are merely inputs and outputs. So the input to this system is 5 hours of time or 100 cold calls. The output is one sale. And so the issue with this linear system is that time and output grow in tandem. They grow together. We want our output to be decoupled from time. So if I'm to get 10 sales, I'm going to have to put in 50 hours or a week's worth of work into this system. Now let's take a look at our scalable example down here. So if you were to record one YouTube video, let's say this costs you 2 hours of time. The video gets 10,000 views, and in the first month, it generates 10 sales. Not bad. Now let's say that same video continues to rank, and by month 12, it's at 120,000 views and has generated you 120 sales. That's really something there, right? Now let's look at the input to output ratio within this system. Input, 2 hours. Output, we can't even quantify it yet. Do you see what I'm getting at? Let's compare this to the previous system. In order to increase output, I have to increase input. But here, my input remains constant at 2 hours and my output keeps on compounding. Now let's take a look at this formulaically to really take this home. In order to build a scalable lead flow, you have to allocate a fixed upfront cost. So in this scenario, it's going to be 2 hours. And the output is going to be variable and compounding, right? That's your reward. And variable, these are just mathematical terms. Variable just means that it's subject to change and it's unknown. Compounding just means that the output of the system or the results feed back into the system, thereby contributing to further growth. So for this example, the output of this system is going to be 10,000 views and 10 sales. But since this output is compounding, that means it's going to feed back into the system and further contribute to its growth. So since the video ranked, right, that's the compounding mechanism here, this is going to get us to 120,000 views, and this is going to generate more sales for us. So now let's talk about scaling product delivery. So to achieve true scale, your product's delivery must be divorced from your time, right? That's the second principle here. And you're going to notice a theme throughout this video. The theme is output must be decoupled from time. That's the essence of scale. So I want to put in a minimal or a fixed amount of input, and I want to yield an output that compounds over time or increases over time. That's the essence of good business. So we're going to lump product delivery into two separate categories. One is linear, one is scalable. So for the linear version, we simply mean that each time there's a transaction, you have to be there. Here you could think of freelancing, consulting, or agency work. Now for the scalable type of product delivery, you don't have to be there when people buy your products or services. Here you could think of software platforms or SaaS platforms, digital products, and books. Now there's going to be a trade-off here. Within a services business, it's a lot easier to get capital up front, right? There's a shorter time to capital, but the delivery is very linear, meaning it's time intensive. For a products business, the payoff is a lot slower. So you have to build a product, you have to market for it, you have to test it before you ever get paid. But if you're able to get that wheel churning for you, it could really work out. So I just wanted to make you aware of the potential trade-offs between these two kinds of product delivery. So the core idea when you're trying to make your product delivery scalable is that you want to build it once and tell it twice. And so if you recall what I was talking about earlier, we want to be in situations where we do the work one time and the results compound over time for us, right? That's the essence of scale. And you're going to see this across sales, product delivery, and lead generation. So mathematically, a scalable product equals one-time effort multiplied by infinite sales potential. So to tie this back to our previous module, so you could see the commonalities here, one-time effort or fixed upfront cost, and that's going to yield us a variable compounding reward. That's the essence of scale. And when I say the essence of scale, I'm speaking to what scale is always. Every instantiation of scale has these qualities. That's what I'm trying to say. Lastly, we're going to talk about scaling sales. So in order to build leverage, you have to create systems that generate sales without manual effort. A couple examples would be YouTube videos. So creating evergreen content that builds trust and drives inbound leads. Landing pages. So these convert interests automatically through clear copy and offers. Email sequences. So these work in the background and reach out to people automatically while you do whatever the heck you're doing. Courses, templates, paid ads. The basic idea is that we want to allocate a fixed upfront cost towards something and we want it to run automatically in the background for us. That's the idea here. So each of these assets replaces a human touch point in the sales process. And so the goal here is to automate trust, conversion, and delivery. Alrighty, gang, thank you so much for watching. I hope that video was helpful. If you like this kind of stuff, definitely check out Compound School. This is a 90-day program designed to take you from where you are today to your first paying customer for your online business. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned.